My name is Jeff Arnold and I work for the National Park Service as a Fisheries Biologist. I've been with the Park Service for about 20 years and I've been at Glen Canyon for about 2 years, just a little over 2 years. And one of my main projects here is the Brown Trout Incentivized Harvest Program below the dam. The incentivized harvest for brown trout, the purpose is to reduce the number of brown trout in the Lee's Ferry Reach. Historically, at least prior to 2014, the brown trout made up about 2% of the population. And the last monitoring effort that the state did about a month ago, they're up to about 25% of the population. So historically, rainbow trout made up 97%, brown trout 2%. Now it's about 75, a little under 75% for rainbow trout and about 25% for brown trout. So what we want to do is reduce that number of brown trout in the Lee's Ferry Reach. Brown trout were introduced down in the Grand Canyon in the early, I think, 1920s. They were introduced in some of those spring-fed streams where they could tolerate those colder waters. They weren't a problem up here at all because historically this water was pretty warm. And then when Glen Canyon Dam was built, it's a cool water release. That created a lot colder water for the main stem of the Grand Canyon, and gradually the brown trout moved up stream to Lee's Ferry Reach. So the National Park Service goal is to help preserve natural ecosystems, for one. Lee's Ferry is a blue ribbon trout fishery, and so we're trying to preserve that. And brown trout are known to be voracious predators on other fish species. And so what we're trying to do is mitigate impacts for fish that currently live in Lee's Ferry that we're trying to manage for, like rainbow trout, and then also mitigate impacts for, we want to reduce the likelihood that they're going to move downstream and impact other fish species down in the Grand Canyon. We're almost through the 1 year, beginning 1 year of the Incentivized Harvest Program that started last November. They did pretty good in November and December. Any time of the year is probably pretty good. It's just going to depend on the habitat they're in. A lot of people target them in December and January as they're spawning in shallow waters, especially up by -4 mile. In the summertime, a lot of people have been fishing deeper. So it just depends on the time of year you're looking at. In Lee's Ferry, the most popular spots that people have been catching brown trout are at -4 mile and -12 mile. You want to look for these deeper pools that will hold the fish, and preferably some areas where there's surrounding aquatic vegetation for these fish to hide in. They lurk in there. I'm assuming that they're kind of looking for food in the vegetation, and also maybe as a smaller fish or something like that comes by. But a lot of their diet is the scuds and the New Zealand mud snail when they're smaller. One of the popular things here at Lee's Ferry, at least in the last couple of years, is the availability of backhaul services. And there's several outfitters that do that. You can look up online for Lee's Ferry backhaul services. But what you can do there is, if you do not have a kayak or canoe, you can rent one from them. It's pretty cheap, like 30 bucks a day, I'm guessing. And then you can, for another $60, $70, you can have that canoe hauled all the way up to the dam, and then you and your family can fish on the way down back to Lee's Ferry. If you do have your own kayak and canoe, you can use that as well. You won't have to pay the additional fee, obviously, and still get the backhaul service going up to the dam or wherever else you want dropped off at. So yeah, while you and your family are out on Lee's Ferry, there are opportunities to camp along the river. We have 5 campgrounds, beginning at the Ropes Campground up near the dam, all the way down to, I think, -6 mile. They're great campsites. They're, sandy. They have restrooms available, stuff like that. So there's an opportunity to come here and spend the whole weekend and fish your heart out for these brown trout.
For this whole incentivized harvest program, we went through an environmental assessment. It was determined that these fish, the population of brown trout was growing. We want to reduce that population. One of the methods to reduce that population was this incentivized harvest. If this doesn't work, we have alternative methods that we might have to institute, which is like spawning bed disruption of early life stages, or we might have to come in and electrofish, and we don't want to do that. So we are relying on the public to come out here and help us remove fish. They can have a good time catching fish. They get dinner, and they also get a reward for each fish caught. So that's what the main goal here is. We are wanting the public to come out here and help us manage this fish population. My name is Jeff Arnold, and I'm with the National Park Service. I'm a fisheries biologist here at Glen Canyon National Recreation Area. I really hope you come out here and help participate in the Incentivized Harvest Program, and I hope you have great success, and I hope to see you out here, you and your family having fun.